Hello everyone, welcome to Always Open. On today's show, we're actually going to be talking about something new that we haven't talked about before, which is mental health, eating disorders, and anxiety, and all types of things like that. So on today's show, I'm your host, Barbara Dunkelman, and with me I have...
Nailed it. Oh, do I say my name?
Yeah.
Blaine
Yes.
Gibson. Hey.
Yeah. Oh,
We switched it up. We thought we were going to meet. We switched it up.
a special guest, Katie Morton, is here today.
Hey. And Mariel Sosa.
And me. It's Mariel. Nothing important.
I know. I forgot to communicate that with them. I was just like, we're going to do her last as like a surprise. But now you guys know.
Yeah.
Surprise.
It's the Katie Morton.
That's why I was like, go. And it's like me.
So the way to initiate you onto the show is to do a shot of alcohol.
Yeah,
Ooh.
that's how we get things started.
It's true.
We like to party.
So this is our shot out of the week. It is the salted nut roll and is submitted by Sasha S. And it consists of rum chata and butterscotch schnapps.
Smells real good.
So cheers. And it has a
Cheers.
salted rim, I believe.
So we can't really clink the glasses.
They don't
they're
really
like
think
salty.
it's like, yep.
So if it's delicious, I made it, and if it's not, I didn't.
Okay.
It's delicious.
It's delicious.
Oh,
I made it.
Oh, you got
I don't even know if it
do
needs
I?
the salt.
Oh, that's something else.
Meryl.
something else.
Meryl, that was great.
Was it? Should I quit my
Really
job?
good. I think you should.
No, please don't quit.
No, we do love
I
you,
need
but,
you.
but also do this.
But also, it makes sense.
First time I drink alcohol in like a month.
What do you think?
I just like pass out.
Blaine's like,
I was like, how you doing?
So as we mentioned before, we have Katie on the show this week. And Katie, let's hear a bit about you because I don't know if a lot of our viewers are familiar with you.
Yeah, so my name is Katie Morton. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist. What that really means is any type of therapy, like how does that make you feel? Like I see individuals, but I specialize in eating disorders and self-injury. And I have a YouTube channel where I talk about all things mental health.
And where can people find that YouTube channel?
Just YouTube/Katie Morton, KATIMORTON.
Beautiful. It's like you rehearsed that.
I try.
So we're going to be talking a lot about the stuff that you specialize in because a lot of us have questions and a lot of the audience has questions. We actually asked the audience to send in questions and we received over 900 submissions from people. So it's a real big shame that we can't get to everyone's question because we would love to be able to answer them and talk about them. So we only picked a few, tried to make them more general so that we could kind of hit every little topic.
And I have like over 800 videos on YouTube, so if they have a specific
there
question,
you go.
put my name in the search.
And they'll probably be able to find
Yeah,
it.
with some keywords.
You could just do the first 9-hour episode of Always Open.
I know. I honestly was trying to get like Mariel's therapy hour, but Barbara was like, "No, I don't think so. Like, I don't know, but really, like, so you know."
Your response to everything is just drink alcohol.
Yeah.
Meryl has a lot lot of questions.
We're gonna need more pictures.
Yeah, it's true.
I'm gonna need like 6 hours with you after this.
All right, so let's start off with our Ask Us Anything question, and this is for everyone. Have you ever experienced anxiety, depression, or any other form of mental illness, and how did you deal with it?
Yeah. I think it was mostly after college. It actually kind of started in college when I first came out to my parents and like moved back home for the summer and had just gotten out of really like long distance serious relationship and was just like, I feel so terrible. What is this? And it was kind of like, okay, this is, you know, all of my surroundings and things are kind of making me feel this way.
Mm-hmm.
And it was horrible. And then, yeah, I'm just like an anxious bundle of nerves most of the time.
You talk about how like you cry every day.
Oh yeah, I have two.
Also that.
Also that.
But like I that's how you know I'm not a sociopath because I have too much empathy. Like I'm just like
That's how you
so
know.
empathetic, right? But yeah, no, I don't like sit at home and cry all the time. Like I'll watch like a YouTube video about like nothing that will make me cry and cry about it because
Yeah.
I just have a lot of feelings. But no, so yeah, I'm definitely should probably be seeking help for real.
Yeah.
I should go to therapy. But yeah.
Well, you talk about how, and I don't know if you want to bring this up later, but you think about death all the time. You said.
Oh yeah, that's something where Katie and I are going to discuss later after the show.
Dive into that.
But yeah, just see what's going on in there because let me tell you, it's fucked up.
Just open up and shake it out a little bit. See what we're working
Yeah, see
with.
what the puzzle pieces that you can put together. But yeah, no, I definitely should be going to therapy. I should probably start doing that soon.
I've definitely experienced both anxiety and depression, but I wasn't able to recognize it. I think for a long period of time in my life. There would be a lot of times where I would get invited out because I was like so popular. And I would just like not want to go and I couldn't identify why. And I would be like, I don't want to be around people right now.
Yeah.
I just like, I can't deal with this right now. And people would be like, why don't you want to come out? And I wouldn't be able to be like, I just don't feel like it.
Yeah.
But I can't describe what that feeling was.
Yeah.
And that still happens to me a lot.
Yeah.
And I think it's a lot of people still don't recognize mental health as like an issue.
Yeah,
because of
and
that.
depression and anxiety like teeter because they're like, not to get like sciencey,
Oh, no,
but in the
please
brain
do.
they're like located right next to each other pretty much.
Yeah.
Where we know like where it resides and what things are causing it. And so they'll kind of toggle between one and the other. Like sometimes we'll feel depressed and our anxiety be low, and then our anxiety is high and we like don't feel depressed. But if we feel them at the same time, that's when people usually feel suicidal, think about death a lot, stuff like that.
It happens to me, I think, a lot more with the rise of social media too, where you could see basically what everyone is doing and what
Yeah.
you weren't included in.
That's
FOMO, man.
And it's that sense of wanting to be included, but also know like if I was invited, I probably would have said no. It's like, oh, like they didn't invite me, but if they did, I probably wouldn't have wanted to
wouldn't
go.
have gone.
But I still wish I was there.
You're doing that petty thing where like you're out traveling and you're like, oh well, thanks for the invite, and you're like, you're out of town. It's like, I still wanted an invite.
Yeah.
I still remember there was one time where I was with a bunch of our lady friends here at the company, and
All right.
Our lady
we all
Barbara, come on.
we all went out. We had like a spa day, and then like we went to the pool after, and we took a picture together. And I guess there was like 2 guys in the pool also because it was like at a hotel.
Oh yeah, so they were there too. It's like a free
Yeah,
space.
they were like behind us in the photo. You couldn't see their heads, but they, according to Blaine, looked like 2 of our guy friends.
Aaron and Josh. I thought it was Aaron and Josh.
So-
he was super offended.
So Blaine was like, "Thanks for the invite." I was like, it's just a girls' day. Like,
it was girls only.
Because you could just recognize them by like their chest hair.
I was like, yeah, he's furry. He's got a 6-pack. That's Aaron and Josh.
I think there's more stories to why we think
Yeah.
that.
yeah.
Anxiety and depression, I definitely experienced that back in high school. My dad got a new coaching job. Well, this happened actually twice, to where I moved school districts. So I left my entire group of friends, had to go to a completely different school. And this is high school when you're like trying to figure out who you are and stuff like that. And for a sophomore going in like the last month of school and just like having no friends and all that stuff, it was rough.
Yeah, and I bet
Yeah,
being
I'm
like
sure.
the coach's kid too.
Yeah,
Everyone's like,
that actually worked to my advantage because I found myself hanging out with my dad a lot more, and I think my dad and I are a lot closer now because of that. But like, I just really latched onto him, so I'd like go eat lunch with my dad and stuff like that. But it was rough though. Like I would wake up in the morning with like sweats, and I'm just like, I just don't want to go to school. I'm just super nervous about what's gonna happen today.
Yeah, that's something I always tell parents. I'm like, if your child doesn't want to go to school, like inquire as to why and what's going on, if
Yeah.
they're not fitting in. Because usually, I mean, no one wants to go to school, let's be honest. How many times they're like, I'm sick. My mom be like, I'm going to take your temperature. No, I'm sick. Trust me.
don't wanna go.
Just believe me. So, but if they don't, if it's like giving you physical, like sweats.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's not
Well, when did like people start recognizing mental health as more like an actual medical thing? Because it was pretty recently, right?
good. Yeah, and I would even like venture to say that we still have a lot of work to do when
Yeah.
it comes
Oh,
to
yeah,
that.
sure.
Because people still assume, that it's not necessary to be treated. It's not like they think of it in the same way you think of like a broken leg.
Right.
Like even though depression or anxiety can be just as debilitating, like, oh, I'm not going out, or oh, I don't want to go to school or whatever, people don't consider it that like we would like a broken leg. They're like, oh, you can just walk it off. You'll grow out of it. It'll get better. And that's
There's
not
also
true.
the stigma that it has to be brought on by an event, or like there's a way to describe like why I feel this way.
Yeah. But you
But
don't have to have that.
For me, most of the time, it's just like I just feel down.
Yeah.
For
That'd be
no
like
reason.
asking someone with cancer, like, well, what triggered it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well, what about you?
To be honest, I think most recently, like anxiety has been an issue that I deal with, and it's funny because when you preach something, I'm like, damn, Katie, use your own tools. Jesus Christ, what are you doing? Because I recognize, when you're in it, you can't always think clearly and think about it.
Yeah.
And life gets stressful and things are anxiety provoking, and so I'll like be up at night like, and I'll think, do your progressive relaxation you always talk about, and that breathing technique that you talked about, and so I think I'm maybe more aware and would notice quicker, but I still have bad times too.
What about as like a kid? Do you think you ever experienced anything?
When my parents had like marital problems when I was probably, I don't know, maybe like 12, and so I went to counseling, And that was the first time I ever started like therapy, and I like almost never stopped. Like I loved it so much. And that's when I decided that's kind of what I wanted to do. And I think I was depressed. That'd be my guess, because I was like not interested in the things I used to be interested in.
I hear that's a big thing about being depressed is just being not interested.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's like the number one, we call it anhedonia is like the term, but it's like, I just don't like the things I used to like. And that was definitely, and everything felt like a chore. Like, oh, I don't want it. It's so much work. Like, ugh. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, let's get into our first user-submitted question. Since we have so many, we picked a few that we thought were good. So this one is submitted by a user named Boo, and Boo wants to know, I am currently dealing with depression and anxiety, and I often find it hard to explain to people what I am going through. I was in a situation recently where I wasn't feeling up to going to something my friends and I had planned. I simply told them that I was feeling too anxious to go out, but all I got in return was them telling me that I only use my mental health issues as an excuse. Is there anything I could do to help people understand mental illness more? So I assume that's a very common question.
Yeah. And a lot of it just has to do like having conversations like this. The more that we talk about it in general, the more people understand it. And I think seek to understand it, because it's been stigmatized so much, like you must be crazy or something's wrong with you, or you're using it as an excuse, or you're pretending for attention, or any of the things that we hear. And I think telling your friends when you're having a hard time is a step in the right direction, and it's good. And I think if people out there are like feeling nervous about it and worried about how to talk to someone, like practice. I know that sounds crazy to practice like in your room by yourself. Like, we know you're not crazy. We're just practicing so you know how to verbalize it. And then imagine what they'd say back, and that can help you better navigate those situations. But the onus is really on the friends.
Yeah.
That exact same thing happened with me, but it was when I first started dating my girlfriend, and we had just started seeing each other, and there were times that I, would be like, oh, we have these plans to go out, and then she'd be like, oh, like, she'd cancel last minute or whatever, and I was like, okay, like, I finally laid down the law, and I was like, listen, if you're not interested, like, just tell me. I don't want to like waste your time or whatever. And she was like, okay, so I have to tell you, like, I have like severe anxiety problems. Like, sometimes I can't leave the house, sometimes I can't do this. And then it was just like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
that makes perfect sense. Like, and in my head, I was like, kind of like, I wish you would have told me sooner, but I'm glad you've told me now, because like now I know it's like it's not me, and it's not that it's you, but it's something you can't really control, and it's like
Yeah. Well, it could also seem like you're being flaky.
Right.
And that probably happens to a lot of people, where we all have those friends who are just like, "Ugh, this person's such a flake.
Right.
They always cancel last minute, or they never come out, or whatever. Like, they just don't show up. And it's very possible they're just anxious or feeling some type of thing where they just can't come out.
Yeah. Or they may have even driven all the way there and be like, shit, nope, back to the house,
That's one of those things that like I've only just now recently kind of comprehended what that is, and it's like I figured it's like one of those things that like I haven't gone through that type of experience. I've never had a problem going out, so I can't really process what that is like. So it doesn't make sense to me when someone else says it. But then like recently, it's like, well, you've never been through that, and that's why you can't wrap your head around it. So yeah, I think I've gotten a lot more aware of like certain friends. Like I have a couple of friends that go through that type of thing. And I try to be as sensitive as possible and be like, yeah, no, it's totally fine.
Yeah, I try to compare it to like, imagine if all of a sudden you're like, oh, I don't feel well. That's essentially like what it can be like, because for the people, at least in my experience and like people I've talked with, and even my own personal like feelings of anxiety, it can get to the point, especially if you have panic attacks ever, it can be like, I'm dying and drowning, I'm dying, I can't breathe. It can be, so it's completely debilitating.
What is a panic attack like? Because I actually know some people who experience panic attacks, and they try to explain it to me, and I could never fully grasp it.
Like one in my life.
Is there a way that like people could describe it, or like a way that people would know what a panic attack is?
Everybody's different.
Yeah.
Like a lot of things, but the drowning and dying, I know that sounds like really dramatic, but that's how it feels.
Yeah.
And so that's usually how people will describe it. Like I felt like I was dying or drowning, or I didn't know who I was. Like, because when our body gets overcharged, our brain does this amazing thing where like we dissociate, because it's like, I'm checking out, this is too much. It's like, hit the eject button. And so it like watches us, like pulls up, and it's like, okay, you're gonna be okay. We're just gonna calm down for a bit. And so that they sometimes will be like, I don't even remember. Like they'll black out for the time.
Don't know where they are, or like who they're with.
Yeah, but like racing hard to breathe.
What are some ways to like deal with that? Like, are there steps people could take if they're experiencing that? Okay.
So usually the first thing is like noticing, because we all have different, like it feels different to everybody. So for you, does it start like with adrenaline tingling in your fingers? Is it your breathing? Is it your heart racing? What is it, the first thing? Because at that point you can actually do the most. So catching it early, once you're in a panic attack, you just have to ride it out.
Yeah.
I know that sounds shitty because it's like, well, I want to help it's like it's gone too far.
Once it's already, yeah.
So we try to backtrack to like the first symptom, and anything from, it sounds weird, but movement, like not fast, not like running, but like walking or like rubbing your legs can help you like stay grounded, help you calm, progressive relaxation, breathing techniques, eye contact, which sounds really weird, but someone that you care about, eye contact can be really
Is
powerful.
it like a calming thing, or oh, okay?
I just learned this actually because one of my friends is a trauma specialist, and so like sucky candies, because an eye contact simultaneously calm you the most, because like a baby feeding,
Oh, wow.
it's like our body's wired to be like,
Goes into a very primal kind of space.
It's like, Barbara, I hit you up and I got to suck her in my mouth.
you're like,
Yeah, like what?
just
Like,
right up.
I need this, Barbara, please.
look at me.
Stop it. So like neck movement too. So anyway, that kind of area helps calm the most, and it can be like easy to do.
I'm curious if I've ever been in like high stress situations. There's been times where I've like, should I yell right now? Is that a good thing
Totally.
to do? Okay.
Yeah, scream in your car.
Okay,
man.
then I haven't thought about it. I do that sometimes where I'll just be like, fuck, and I just yell. And they're just like, okay. Like, I don't know if that's normal or not,
No,
so.
it's totally normal.
I do that when I'm driving sometimes. If someone really usually if someone pisses me off while I'm driving or like cuts me off or does something dumb, I'll be like, piece of shit.
You look
Yeah,
crazy.
But when I'm like really stressed, I'll just be like, fuck you! And I'm like, I feel
You're like, totally.
It's a nice
No,
release.
yelling is really, because it takes like your body, it's something about like movement and like you still the throat and you're like getting it out.
yeah.
Yeah.
I've been on the top of like parking structures in my Jeep, just been like, just like yelling, and then I'm like, all right, back to work.
I like
Off we go.
for some reason I picture like other people watching that happen and like the Jeep just shakes a whole bunch.
Or they hear like a, is he okay?
Loud music. Don't worry about it.
Or like scream into a pillow or something.
Yep, screaming into a pillow.
Hmm.
Yeah, totally.
All those things.
Anything like
I
that.
feel like I should be like writing
No,
this
I
down.
seriously was like, God, I wish I had a pen. But I mean, I guess I can watch this back.
Yeah, you know, it's kind of archived forever
yeah,
on the internet.
yeah.
I've kind of always been afraid of doing that because I didn't know if it was like, is this, like a good thing to do? But now I feel.
It is. It's a very good. It's like your body's. You're keeping yourself like in the resilient zone.
Yeah, I don't know. My panic attacks have always been at night. There was one though I had right before. Oh my gosh, it was at ACL this past year. Who was the closer? Who's the closer?
I couldn't tell you.
They're like such a good band.
I know the way you're talking about.
You
Keep
know,
going with this right.
like 12 people in the band. They had a Muppets video. Whatever. Anyway, panic attack.
Trans-Siberian
right before
Orchestra, right?
I'm gonna hate
Lady
myself.
Gaga.
I'm gonna
It'll
hate
bubble up
myself.
later. We'll
I
be
know.
like,
I get right in the middle of a different conversation. We're like, it was those people. But yeah, I know this word's probably gonna come up, but just the stigma associated with all that stuff is because, especially growing up how I did in a small conservative town with a Mexican family, like you just don't talk about this stuff. It wasn't until after college that I realized, like, oh, like my grandmother is this way because she is anxious. She does take medication. Then I found out my dad takes medication. I'm like, oh, that makes so much sense. Like I don't feel so alone. There's such a, I don't know if it's like Mexican machismo or what it is, but it's just like you don't talk about your feelings. Like not just about your feelings, but you don't talk about how you're feeling or like why you're feeling that way.
I mean, I feel like that's common with a lot of families.
And I think it's also like we're talking like things are moving forward, not only culturally, but like as we go into the 2000, 2016, 2017, like people are talking more about mental health and the stigma is hopefully lessening.
Yeah.
And we also have the internet, so we can connect more versus being like, something's wrong with me. Oh my God, don't tell anybody.
Yeah.
You know?
It's funny how the internet is both like detrimental but also helpful to the
Yeah.
cause of just like more resources, more people to talk to about it, but also like, oh, I could see everything I'm missing out on and
overwhelming.
everything
Yeah.
that, like people are saying about me and reading comments. Like I know for us especially, like, and I'm
comments,
sure you too, and YouTube videos.
Yeah.
So like, what do people think about me? Oh, it's not good.
Oh, he called me a shit butt. Oh, dang.
See, totally. Oh my God. Trolls.
And then you have like the other spectrum where it's just like, I would drag my dick through a mile of broken glass to smell one of her farts.
That's the best
you
compliment.
got to-
of all
I've seen
time.
that exact comment.
I was like, how'd you pull that out?
Yeah, there's no way you keep it up. with
I'm
that
just
so
like, let me
quickly.
tell you, my fart ain't worth it. Nothing is
Maybe
worth that.
you know what? Maybe it is though, Barbara. Maybe it
That's
is.
such a visual. It's just
Don't
too much.
doubt it.
Well, how about instead of glass, you do flowers?
There you go.
No, don't drag your dick through flowers.
Thorns.
No, just no dick dragging. Let's just.
Here you go, Blaine.
Ooh, beautiful.
There are some things in life we prefer to delay, like filing taxes or visiting the dentist. Seeing your wife or girlfriend smile shouldn't be one of them. So this year, get ahead of the game with 1-800-Flowers.com, the official florist of Valentine's. 1-800-Flowers has great deals on elegant and stunning bouquets that are sure to wow her. Right now, you could order 18 radiant red roses for only $29.99 or upgrade your bouquet of 24 red roses for just $10 more. These breathtaking roses from 1-800-Flowers are picked at their peak and shipped overnight to ensure freshness and your loved one's amazement. 18 red roses for only $29.99 or upgrade to 24 red roses for only $10 more is an amazing Valentine's Day offer, but it's only available while supplies last. Every bouquet is backed by 1-800-Flowers' 100% smile guarantee. If you or your loved one has any issues, 1-800-Flowers will make it right. To order 18 roses for only $29.99 or upgrade to 24 red roses for $10 more, go to 1-800-Flowers.com/alwaysopen. That's 1-800-Flowers.com/alwaysopen. Why wait to wow? Order right now at 1-800-Flowers.com. What were you doing that whole time?
That was in my mouth the whole time.
Yeah.
You weren't doing anything
They're
with it, right?
beautiful.
They're
Look at
so
those.
They are beautiful.
They're right behind my shot.
I need to order mine as soon as this podcast is done because, well, it's fresh on the minds.
There you go.
Well, 1-800-Flowers.com/alwaysopen. You'll get a good deal. All right, so let's move on to our next question. This one comes from a user named Cosmo. And Cosmo writes, my brother has depression and social anxiety. These conditions are keeping him from gaining employment and supporting himself. I've tried everything I could to think to motivate him to get into getting out there, but nothing seems to work. How can I help him?
How do we help people? And the truth isn't a nice answer. And it's not that it's mean, but I always tell people, I'm like, you're not gonna like this. But they have to help themselves. And it sucks, and it can be hard to watch people like, we're like, they're not making good decisions, or they're really struggling, or whatever. The best way we can help is just check in with them, make time for them, and encourage good behavior.
Yeah.
And like, if you can help, like, let's say, they want someone to come with them, to drive with them to a job interview or to an appointment or something that's hard for them to get to and they feel anxious about or they struggle with, you can offer that support, but then that's really it. You can't be like, you got to do this, because we all know if someone's like, come on, it just almost makes us act in the opposite direction.
Yeah.
Don't want to,
It
yeah.
makes you feel pressured.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then maybe feel worse.
Yeah.
And that's not because we're being an asshole or anything. It's because we're trying to help, but it just doesn't work that way. They have to
Also,
want it for
I
themselves.
assume you can never really understand someone else's situation. Even if you do experience that yourself, everyone's different, right? So
Totally.
if they can't do it.
What do you mean by encouraging good behavior?
Like when they're like, oh, I thought about doing this, but I can't do it or whatever. I'm feeling too stressed. Or
no, you got it.
But no, you got it. Yeah, like I can help. How can I help? Like then it's kind of like open for you to get in there and help them.
Yeah.
But for you to come in like, I got the answers and I can fix it, ends up giving us the opposite result.
I imagine it also helps to go to them a lot. Like I know when I'm feeling like I don't want to participate in something or go somewhere, it's like if someone's like, I'll come to you. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
Makes things easier.
Totally.
I could do that. Like I had Meryl and Bethany come over to my place the other day, and I'm just like, I'm totally down to hang out unless we go somewhere else.
Yeah. As long as it's here.
We were watching The Bachelor.
Watch The Bachelor. Trust me, like it wasn't. Barbara's place is great. She's a wonderful hostess, but that show.
I made
show.
us DiGiorno
I can't even
pizza.
watch it. Yeah. Did you? Yeah,
was a
stuff like
lovely
that. It's easy then.
Yeah, because it's just like I just don't feel up to going somewhere. But then if you offer to go to someone's house and hang out with them, low key.
Yeah. And it can help. It improves their mood, helps them feel better, maybe not feel so alone. All that stuff is good.
But I understand the concern because this person writes that I think it's their brother about how like they need to motivate them to get a job and employment and things like that, which I think could be difficult because you don't want to be like supporting someone totally your whole life.
And I'm a tough love therapist. I'm just going to put it out there. So I'm the type that's like, you don't need to enable them. And I know that they're hurting, but like they have to fend for themselves. They have to get the help that they need and be ready for it. And if we just support them the whole time, it's like when parents like allow their children to not go to school and they don't talk to them about it. They don't try to get them help or try to figure anything out or encourage them to do good behavior.
Yeah.
Things can like progress badly really quickly. And so if he's not paying his part and not doing this, then, you can give a time limit and say, in 2 months, I can't do this anymore. And I know that sounds harsh, but that's why I call it tough love, because it's like that's part of encouraging good behavior. I know it sounds bad, but
Do ultimatums actually like help, or does that add pressure?
it can have pressure. I don't like to think of it as an ultimatum, even though in cases it will have to be, just because if it's a living situation or if it's like a relationship and things are just spiraling out of control. I always tell people on like if on the helping side, like the caretaker side, I'm like, you have to take care of yourself too. And if this is like really hard on you and like extremely stressful and detrimental, that's not good for you.
Yeah.
And we can't like spiral together. You know, we've all had those like friends that bring us down and we like find ourselves in like a negative thought cycle, like, so
Yeah.
that, I don't know.
Well, I imagine
it's tough, but-
the biggest issue probably comes from people not understanding where the person's coming from and being like, oh, just go get a job. Or like,
Yeah.
just go to like McDonald's or whatever, not thinking like, oh, I need to understand where this person's coming from,
Yeah.
understand the struggles they're having and like why they're feeling this way or what I could do to help. Because I feel like a lot of people, like family members or friends or even people in relationships are just like, ugh, they're just lazy.
Totally. And lazy is like the first thing. And I think that's kind of the part of like supporting the good behavior and being like understanding. And honestly, the first thing you could support is them getting help.
Yeah.
Like before money, before just jobs in school, like getting professional help can go a long way.
What are the steps to getting help? Because I wouldn't know anything about like finding a therapist or like someone to talk to.
Let me go get my pen.
It depends on where you're at and if you have insurance or not. Just like that's where we start.
Okay.
And then you can go. I encourage people if you have insurance to go through insurance, just because it saves you a shit ton of money.
It's great that it's covered by insurance.
Yeah, and also finding out how many sessions. Like some will start with like let's say 6 or 7 to 10, and then if you let's say you have a diagnosis of depression or another type of diagnosis, they can extend it and extend the
How
sessions.
do you get diagnosed? I know we're like I keep
That's
like
okay.
piling on
It's
questions
just
for you.
seeing a professional. Could be a psychiatrist or a doctor. Could be a therapist or a social worker. Any mental health professional.
Something that you have to bring up the first meeting to where it's like, I need to be diagnosed, or do they just kind of?
They'll know, especially if you're going through insurance. They like require it.
Oh,
Interesting.
And so, you know, like if I tried to give you a super bill or submit something to insurance, they'd be like, "Meh, it doesn't have a diagnostic code.
Oh wow.
Denied."
Interesting.
So sometimes when people don't have a diagnosis, like, oh, we just do checkups and you're just doing well, then they're just gonna have to pay out of pocket.
Because I imagine that's a big stopping point, especially for young people.
Yeah.
Of just like they don't know, like, do they just go to their family doctor and it's like I'm feeling depressed? Do they
No,
get
they'll
referred?
just give you medication,
yeah.
which isn't bad. Like medication is not a bad thing, but like we know that in combination with therapy, it's the best. Ta-da, with the powers combined. So doing that, but so go through insurance, get a list, go online because we live in cities. Yay! If you're in a rural community, it's a little harder. But I always tell people to read reviews online and know that people are more likely to write bad ones, but take into consideration what they're saying and if that would be something that would affect you as well, and then call them. Like, so if you can't even read reviews, call, make a couple appointments with different ones and see different people. Because the most important thing in therapy is that you like them.
Yeah.
And that you're like, I could talk to you, versus feeling like they can fix my problems, because that's not what happens. You just have to like them and
You just
feel
have to be able to
comfortable.
talk to someone. I feel like also for maybe younger people, like other people experiencing what they're experiencing would help, like friends
Yeah.
or people in similar situations, teachers.
Yeah, teachers are a great resource, school counselors. There's tons of resources like that, one, especially in college. Like when I was in college, and I was in therapy, because I love therapy. I know that sounds weird, but it's so helpful. Like I go,
it really is.
I go in and out like periodically.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say like I listen to a few different podcasts, and I feel like every podcast, like the ones that I love the most, like all of the hosts are like, oh yeah, like last week my therapy session. I'm just like, oh wait, like people actually do this. I think that's what's like the most, especially for myself, like the most trying thing to break out of is like, oh, people act like this isn't like a bad thing. This isn't like a way to feel negative. Like people actually do this, and like more people should do it.
Totally, because it helps us like become better versions of ourselves. We're all like works in progress, right? Yeah. So, but I guess it's just finding someone that you feel connected to, finding someone you can work through things with, and yeah, I don't know. That's really how I recommend.
What if it's the opposite, where you identify someone as having an illness of some sort and you say like, you should talk to someone, and like, I am not qualified to like, I don't feel like I'm in a position where I feel like I could help you or like be someone you could talk to, but I feel like you should get help or talk to someone about this, and they're hesitant to do it or they don't want help.
At that point, it's up to you as the person in the relationship with the other. So let's say it's a friend. You like can distance yourself as to protect, because sometimes the thing that's tricky is someone's struggling and they don't want help yet, but they're making our life miserable because they're miserable. Yeah. Especially like romantic relationships. You're like, ah. So that's up to you how much you can handle. And everyone knows, the thing that I think is important is noticing our bodies are really smart, and they tell us when things are shitty and bad and we need to get out, because we start not sleeping well.
Yeah.
We start like thinking stressful thoughts when nothing's going on. We start having our own response to the like toxic stimuli or like the person who's struggling. And so it's up to you how much you can handle. But at that point you can say like, I just can't spend that much time with you right now. It's really hard. And they might lash out, but at least you're being honest. You're being authentic.
Yeah.
Like, I really encourage you to get help. I know you might not be there yet, but it's hard on me. Like, I even had a girlfriend when I was probably going through the shittiest time in my life. She was like, you're hard to be around. And I was like, imagine how I feel.
I'm around me all the time.
I can't escape.
But that's the truth. Like,
Yeah.
and it was one of those moments where I'm like, thanks. Like, I needed that. Like, I'm an asshole because I was like having a hard time. I was like, I don't need to go see Jan on my thing. I'm like, I'm doing fine.
Yeah, because I'm sure a
She's
lot
like,
of people
"No, I'm
just
not."
think it like affects their self and that's it.
Yeah.
Right.
Not realizing it affects like people around them and people who love them.
Yeah. And so everybody's going to be different with how much you can tolerate, but it's fair to say like, hey, I can't right
Yeah.
now. I love you. Don't like, I'm not running away, but like also time out, you know?
Totally. All right, well, we're going to switch gears a little bit. Another thing you specialize in that we want to talk about is eating disorders. And so we had some people submit questions about that too. But first, we're going to start with an Ask Us Anything. And the question is, how young were you when you first felt self-conscious or aware of your weight? And this was submitted by Anonymous.
So I used to be overweight back in like middle school to high school. I think the first time it happened to me was probably around middle school when a kid asked if I brought my bra to school or something like that.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Kids are brutal.
Yeah, for
kids are
sure.
really mean.
But yeah, after that, it was just like it was constantly being aware of it and stuff like that. And being in athletics, the position I was playing in football, I had to be bigger. And
Linebacker.
no, I was playing like offensive line. So yeah, my dad was the offensive line coach. But that was definitely a time when I was very aware of it. And then I realized how unhappy I was, and that's when I started making the change and running and stuff like that. So.
There's also a lot of people who experience something like that, but they do something where, and this is a common question that we got, where they felt unhappy, so they ate, but they are unhappy because they eat. But it's like this endless cycle.
yeah.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot of people who are able to like kind of break out of that and be like, I'm going to change. It's just this
Yeah.
endless.
Food and feelings should not be connected.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, damn. My food and feelings are definitely connected.
Yeah, for
in a
me,
way.
I was always like a string bean growing up as a kid, and that was like my nickname was Flaca, which is like just skinny girl.
Really?
Growing up as up until pretty much like middle school, and then I gained a little bit of weight in middle school and or in high school, and it wasn't until like college really where I was like, oh shit, like I'm not that like skinny string bean kid anymore. Like I gotta watch out what I'm doing. And like,
yeah.
luckily I moved to Austin and then was like walking everywhere and was more conscious of what I was doing with my body. But
Did you feel self-conscious at all when people were calling you skinny of just like, oh, maybe I should eat more or something? Or
not really, because it's just like, especially in Mexican culture, everyone has nicknames, and a lot of the times they're not so nice, and a lot of times they're like really mean. It's just like, oh, that's how we play with each other,
Yeah.
So it was mostly like, I'm just happy you're not calling me anything else.
For me, it was very, actually, I think a lot later in life than a lot of people experience it. It was probably around the age of 16 or 17. I was always very skinny, very, very skinny growing up. And by the age of 12, I had already hit the height of 5'9".
Oh, yeah.
So I was like, I had stretch marks everywhere, and I was like super string bean, super skinny. And I met this woman one time who was she basically worked for modeling agencies as like a person who would develop models and then send them to agencies. And she met me once and she's like, you should come down to Toronto and we'll get some photo shoots going and like build you a portfolio and we'll send you out to agencies because I see potential. I spent a week there and it was so much fun and it was like getting to do all these photo shoots. And then she wrote me this letter at the end of it saying, I think you have so much potential, you need to lose 20 pounds.
What?
And I was just like,
Sweet Jesus.
I weigh 123 pounds and you want me to lose 20 pounds. I'm 5'9".
Sixth of your weight.
Yeah.
Just
I was like,
gone.
am I chub? Like, because I always thought of myself as thin.
Because you were.
Because I was, for any normal human standards. But hearing that for the first time, and I'm like, oh, well, I kind of want to pursue this. Like, maybe I should start, like, working out more and eating healthier or something. Because I was a teenager, so I was eating, like,
Eating whatever you want.
yeah, eating like shit and nothing to do. I was playing basketball, so it was just, like, constant exercise.
Slam Dunkelman!
So I had never thought about it before because I was just living life. I was just eating my Reese's peanut butter cups every night while I was watching The Simpsons and playing
As you
basketball in the
should
morning.
be.
And
Dude, there's something about that industry because like when I had started getting into shape and stuff like that, I saw an opening for a fit model, which is a person that goes in and they they put you in clothes and then they kind of make the clothes. You're like the template for the fit. And I went in and I went through a couple of interviews and I was going and things were going well. And then I went to this one guy and he was like the deciding factor. He was the gatekeeper into this whole thing. And I was sitting in front of him with just my boxers on. He's like, okay, and spin around. He's like, did you break your shoulder? Your shoulder's fucked up. And he's just assessing me right in front of me. And I was just like,
heck.
fuck this guy. You know?
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's the reality where that industry is very unhealthy and the standards are very off from where you should be as a normal human.
Yeah, and there's no sugarcoating.
Yeah,
Shoulders
at all.
fucked up.
She's
You're
just like,
thanks.
she's just like, you need to lose 20 pounds. And I'm like, from where?
Yeah. How?
Here's
What?
my head.
Yeah. Do you want to just take one of my legs?
I know, right?
So I think I spent about a week or two being like, I'm going to try like run in the mornings and then like eat salad instead of lunch. And then after a week or two, I'm just like, nah.
You're like, I don't like
Sorry.
this.
Nah, it ain't for me.
Not worth it.
I'm going to go pursue my brain.
Yeah. Exactly. Much more important.
Not saying models are not smart or whatever.
No, but
it's
that's
just-
like, instead of this.
yeah, a different path.
Yeah. And I think body image for me was like probably middle school-ish. It's hard to like know how old I was, maybe 12,
Yeah.
13, because I was always like, I've always been really muscular. And I know that sounds really weird, but as a girl, it was like awkward.
I'm imagining
kinda.
like a bodybuilding 12-year-old.
But like my
Hi,
brother and I
Katie.
both. Hello, it's so nice to meet you. Hello. I'm gonna bump you up. But I remember like as a kid, my like family would make jokes and everybody had nicknames and stuff. And so they would, it was like always like I had ass kicking legs and like,
yeah.
And I always thought it was a good thing or whatever. And then I remember getting in school and getting comments from boys like, oh, like you're like what you work out, you like lift weights or whatever. And I was like, no, I play soccer. Like that's all I do. And so that was probably when I was pretty like first noticing it. And then girls started to get boobs and I didn't. And it was like that weird thing as a girl where you're like, and I was already like, I'm not feminine. What? I don't know. It was a weird, like I was a tomboy, but I don't know. It's like as a girl, it was like figuring out, I don't know why we feel like we need to, but I feel like I need to figure out like, where did I fit?
Yeah.
So,
Especially like with boobs and stuff. Like I only started developing those in like the 11th grade.
yeah.
Or something like that.
I was a
that?
Same
slow
here.
bloomer with
Yeah,
that.
yours too. Is that when? Yeah, that's when they asked about your bra. Oh my god! Yeah, no boobs though. Like now talking about boobs and thinking back on it, it's like that was, I went from being really really skinny to then just having big boobs, much bigger than all of my friends. But no, I'm just kidding. But no,
Itty
and it
bitty
was like
titty
it did
committee.
change,
I know,
it
right?
definitely did change my perspective of how I looked at myself because I was like, now I have these things and I don't like them. Like, how do I, so I'd like walk touch over.
Yeah.
I'm still like I still feel like I'm thin, but now I have these boulders on me. How do I like handle that?
Yeah, and
the
it's
shoulder
like both
boulder.
ways. It's like the heavy or the skinny or the
Yeah.
boobs or the no boobs. Either way,
Yeah.
we're not happy because we're
Right.
like, what's going on?
My boobs change size all the time because I wear sports bras a lot, which like squishes them down most of the time. And that's like when I'm most comfortable.
Totally.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it's just, I think it's also like when they start developing, it's like I don't want people to see these.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
No,
don't want to
same.
be noticed. Then
And I
like
think
boys
I've-
snapping bras and stuff, you're like,
Yeah.
It's
kinda
like
kept
so.
Thing that you went through?
Yeah,
Oh
did
my
you?
God, yeah,
yeah,
no,
like
it's real.
totally.
Jeez.
Boys
Jesus.
are dicks.
They are.
fucked
It's terrible.
Blaine's like, I was a nice boy.
I was a
Snap
gentleman.
bras.
He's like, I don't only snap my own. Just kidding, Blaine, you didn't have a bra in high school.
You poor
I used to wear undershirts. They were like a man bra for me. Yeah, this little kind of
It sounds like Blaine needs to be in a safe space.
Yeah.
Perhaps a Squarespace. Thanks to Squarespace for sponsoring this episode of Always Open. Squarespace is the all-in-one platform to create a website or online store. They have beautiful, award-winning designer templates, 24/7 customer service, and domains. I don't know if you guys have ever made a website before, but I have.
sure you have.
What was your website?
Oh, katiemorton.com.
Oh, if you've been thinking about starting your own website, like Katie has, or online store, start your free trial today at squarespace.com/alwaysopen and enter the code ALWAYSOPEN to get 10% off your first purchase. Make your next move with Squarespace. Thank you, Squarespace. All right, so let's move on to our questions from users. This one comes from a user named Miffy, which is an awesome name.
I love the names.
Miffy. I am 18 years old and a plus-size girl who is fairly happy with her body. Whenever I look in the mirror, I'm happy with what I see, but when I'm alone with my thoughts, I have an obsession with being skinny. I even run a Thinspo blog. I've never participated in fasting or purging, but I often think about that I should do it. I guess my question is, can that be considered an eating disorder if I don't act on it?
And the short answer is yeah, definitely. Because the thing about eating disorders that people don't understand is that it's not about the food. I know that sounds really weird, but it's not about being skinny. It's not about being fat. It's not about it at all. It's the fact that we want to control our bodies and the food intake in some way to help with something else. So the fact that it's taking up all of her brain space tells me that something else is going on.
Yeah.
And so she's cloaking it with that. Because truth, it's not about her body. But she's like, but at night, that means something else is going on.
Yeah, because I mean, there's a difference between, like, every now and then I'll look at pictures on Pinterest or Instagram of, like, someone with a nice body, and I'll, like, save it to be like, if I go to the gym, I'll be like, oh, like, it'd be nice to, like, aim towards that kind of goal. More like using it as, like, not inspiration, but just
Like
more
a
like
motivating
or I guess, like, where's the difference between using it for that purpose and other purposes?
My rule that I always say, like, to all of my viewers in general is if it inhibits your ability to function regularly, or you find it consuming most of your brain space, it's a problem.
Yeah.
In general, like, that's like mental illness as a whole. But it's true. Like, I even, one of my girlfriends was telling me, she's like, I like stress about working out like every day, and I have to do it every day. And I was like, stop for a bit, like take a break, take a month off, and like see your therapist, talk about it. And she was like, wow. And then later we were talking about it, and she's like, yeah, I guess I was just really stressed out.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah. And that was her coping skill. And it's not a terrible coping skill, but it's something you have to like keep in check, because often we'll swing from one to the other too. Like, I'll have clients who are like, oh, I'm so heavy, I need to get fit, and like I'm gonna improve myself. And like my doctor said my health is at risk. And we're like, okay, this is a good choice. See a dietitian, figure it out. But then it gets to the point where it's like, I never eat this, and I don't eat after this time, and all these like rules and rigidity and scheduling. I'm like, then it's a problem. Like, again, like we've just swapped one for the other.
I just think I feel like there's a very fine line between obsession and just trying to stay on like a regimented schedule.
Yeah, because like health, our whole society's like, oh, be healthy and wellness.
Like count your calories and
But don't. Please don't.
chill this.
Like, kind of sweating over here, like.
I was gonna say, like, I don't know if you're comfortable bringing it up, but Blaine is someone who obviously goes to the gym a lot, and I don't know if it's something that like you think about, because I know like when
All
we're
the time,
filming
yeah.
something.
Yeah, I mean, I'd have like a calorie counting app, and like I log foods, and it's gotten to the point where it's like, oh, I only go to Chipotle because I know that I can expect this macros and that and stuff like that. So I think that's impacted my social life to the point where it's like, oh, you guys are going drinking tonight? I'm gonna stay in because I don't want to drink tonight.
Yeah.
So I think that's something that I'm dealing with.
Well, being a chubby kid too can do that. Like,
Yeah.
because it's like that, then you got hurt. Essentially, people were rude and mean. And so then we're like, well, if I do this, then I don't get that. Okay, it's like positive, affirmation for what you're doing. And working out and being healthy is fine, but it's like, if you won't go out or you go to certain places, like someone should be able to ask you, hey, we're going for barbecue. And you're like, I'm hungry. Cool.
Yeah.
Because the goal always is like to eat when you're hungry and stop when you're full, which sounds easy, but it can be hard for people.
Yeah.
Question. So
Yes.
right now
Answer.
I'm kind of like doing this because I have an end in sight. So it's gonna be like Australia, and I want to be like in shape when I go to the beach, and I want, like and all that stuff. Is that still kind of like a bit of an issue when I'm just like, well, once I reach that point, then I can kind of relax and stuff, or is it still?
It's still
Yeah.
worrisome.
Okay.
It's not like I wouldn't say, oh, you have a full-blown eating disorder, we need to get you into treatment, but I would encourage you to talk to somebody in general.
I mean,
like-
just the way that you guys were talking about, it's like, yeah, just hopping into therapy. Like, I think I might actually look into that, because
Yeah.
it's like that seems like something that's like I could relax a bit and
Well, that's one
open
of
up
the
with
things, like,
somebody.
you don't realize how much stuff in your childhood like affected you. Like
Totally.
I do, yeah, a
do.
lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's true. Like we often just don't realize how like hard that was for us
Yeah.
or something. Because if as a kid you don't have all the tools to cope, so we're like, ooh, and we think something's wrong with us, and
And it could be
doesn't everybody
imagined-
else feel this way?
It's also like taking comfort in that. Like I know, like I'm gonna feel good if I go to the gym and I eat here. Like I'll feel comfortable, and I take comfort in knowing that I'm doing that and I'm like having that.
Yeah, it's like really linked to OCD. It's not the same, but eating disorders in general, especially the restrictive or the exercise addiction type, it's like I feel stressed and anxious if I don't do it. It's like the compulsion, and then when you do the action, then you're like, ah. And then we go every day, it's again. It's like the same.
shit.
Again, it's like a build, and like,
I just got diagnosed because like, there's been times where I've been like I'll go to the gym at like 3 a.m.
oh, no.
Yeah, and it'll be like, I didn't get my workout in today. All right, here we go. It's like,
Yeah. And I mean, it's good to, in truth, exercise 3 times a week for 30 minutes. unless you're trying to like lose weight, and you should do that with a dietitian, your doctor.
When you're trying to like maintain. It's
Yeah, just like that's what our body needs to keep us, because we move around in day, we walk around, you do things in your daily life. You don't need to like go work out.
Well, I think it's like a lot of these diet plans and books about like what you should do and these crazy fads that are running around and people being like, oh, you need to do this every single day and, you know, count things and measure things and it becomes obsessive for a lot of people
Totally.
when like you don't have that control, I guess.
Yeah.
Now I know why you brought me on this episode.
I actually wasn't even thinking like that was an issue for you.
No, it absolutely is.
I mean, every now and then I'm like, if we're going to be on a podcast together, he's like, well, I got to go to the gym first. And I'm like, do you?
Pre-podcast
Like,
pump.
Wasn't there actually a time that you like did your protein shake with your beer? You're like, I'm gonna drink this beer and I'm gonna drink it with a protein.
That was mostly for laughs. That was for laughs. But yeah, there has been times where like, and I've eased off of this, where it's like, I'm about to be on camera, push-ups. You know, it's
Yeah.
like, I'm a fucking crazy person. That's eased off, so.
But that's the thing, it's like it becomes obsessive and you know it, we just don't want to recognize
Well, I
it.
think it's also heightened. Like you probably already had that to some extent because of your experiences with like body issues and stuff, but also it's heightened because we're on camera.
Totally.
And we're in the public eye, and it's like you think about like, all these people are going to be looking at me, and like camera adds 10 pounds,
Dude,
and like
for real, though.
all this stuff. Like I even think about it of like one time I wore a dress that was like cut up here, and it made it look like I had a belly, and all the comments were just like, "Is Barbara pregnant?" And I'm like, "Do I really look that fat?" Like,
Yeah,
oh
man.
my
Yeah,
God,
no.
like what?
That shit happens a lot, where they'll be like, Blake's looking a little fluffy lately. And be like, fuck, what?
Like you don't realize. I think people don't realize how those comments like
yeah.
just eat away, and I'm sure it happens to plenty of people just who aren't even on camera, who just like are on social media, and
Yeah.
post a picture online. It's
Or
just
we can
like-
tell ourselves those things.
Yeah.
That's the hardest thing, is the conversation you have with yourself. And that's like where recovery from that starts, and like body image is just like changing that conversation so that you're nice to yourself.
Yeah.
Which sounds so silly. Like I should be nice to myself, but we're assholes to ourselves in general.
Yeah.
They're like, we're so stupid and lazy and fat and da da da. It just goes on and on.
just guilt yourself too much. I feel like I fluctuate. Like I've never considered myself to have any sort of eating disorder, but there are times when I don't know if it's like I feel bloated or I'm just like in a certain mindset where I'm just like, I look awful, I feel awful. And I'm like, all right, I'm only gonna eat like salads today and like not eat after 5 o'clock and stuff. But then the next day I'm just like, pizza!
Well, and our body like does that because it wants balance.
Yeah.
And so if we are really restrictive, and if you say no to blank, 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 that's all you can think about.
Right.
Because you're like, oh, pizza, why? You know?
Well, that's why I think a lot of diets recommend the cheat meal or cheat day.
I was gonna say, you're not a dietitian, but you might have some input on this from a psychological standpoint. 5 or 6 days out of the week, I'll be like, you know, this is my regimen, this is what I'm gonna do. And then like, there's like one day out of the week where I'm just like, I just eat all the pizza. Is that like a normal thing? Is that a good, healthy behavior? No? Oh, fuck. Shit.
Because then you're restricting yourself. And it's not that we should all eat pizza all day, every day, because the truth is you don't want it. Like that's the honest thing. That's why it's like listening to your body. The best thing you can do is buy the intuitive eating workbook. It's like, it's the
Intuitive
shit.
eating
Okay.
workbook.
Yeah, it's like, it talks about like noticing when you're hungry, because I'm bad at this. I will literally get distracted and then all of a sudden be like, oh my God, feed me. And my husband's like, okay, yes.
He's like, here, snacks.
Because I get really grouchy. I totally do the hangry thing.
Yeah.
Well, there are times for me too, like with the pizza thing, where I just like, some days I'm just like, the pizza comes into the studio and I'm like, I don't really feel like it. And other days where I'll smell it, I'm like,
Yeah, you're like, pizza. I need all the pizzas, baby. And that's our body's way of like balancing. So I know that people who are in restrictive diets are like, I'll go crazy, I'll totally get fat again, things are gonna get out of control. They really don't. As long as it's like all in moderation. You're just like eating as you're hungry, and you will crave like broccoli,
yeah.
which sounds weird, but sometimes you're like, I really just want like vegetables. Because our body really tells us what we want, but we just are like, shut up, you don't know. You don't know shit. I want pizza. Or I only want Chipotle on Wednesday.
So your body sounds like?
That's what my body said. It totally, that's how it talks to me. And I'm like, yeah.
Mine's just
Like
like
a little,
snacks.
I figure, I always picture like a little German man that's like, give me food. And he's like, he's so angry. And I tried to tell you hours ago.
My internal body's definitely not a German. Man. That would be weird. Mine is an old Jewish woman.
Oh yeah.
It's like, what? You're not gonna eat.
Feed yourself.
You're nothing but skin and bone. Come on. I made gefilte fish. You're not gonna eat it.
Is that something that you guys actually eat?
Gefilte fish, yeah. Only on certain
It
holidays,
looks
though.
scary.
It could be delicious or terrible,
Okay.
depending on where it's from or who made it.
Okay,
Isn't that
good
that's
to
the
know.
truth with everything though?
That's
you know?
very true. Pizza could either
Delicious
be
or
Yeah,
amazing or
depending
terrible.
on where you get it, who made it, and yeah.
All right, let's move on to our final question of the day. This is from Dalton. And Blaine was actually excited about this question.
Not anymore, but
I'm a guy who eats healthy and exercises regularly, but no matter how much weight I lose, I still see myself as fat or not good enough. Why can I never see the progress I have made?
Because of the conversation you have with yourself. Because it doesn't, it's just like anorexia as a whole. They always say, like, you look in the mirror and you don't see what another person would see. You always see a fat person. And even when my closest friends went through this huge like weight loss, which she was like to the point of obese where her doctor was like, what happened, you know?
Wow, yeah.
And so she started losing weight and she would tell me, she's like, I still feel fat. Like, I'm not gonna wear clothes like that. Like, and she was back to normal, healthy weight. And so I was like, you gotta go to therapy and like talk to someone about it, because it's all about what you tell yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it's like we're nasty, and oftentimes we'll say things like, oh, you know, like you said, some days I'll feel totally bloated and fat, and the other days I'm like, no, I feel fine.
I'm looking good.
Yeah, hey. And it's really just, it's all up here. It has nothing to do with how we look.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I mean, what was Dalton? Was
Yeah.
his name? Totally not Blaine. That's something that I've often experienced. And that was like a big struggle for the first year and a half or 2 years of trying to get into shape from high school.
I'm sure.
It's just like, God, you're not making any progress, dude. And then I'd be like, in reality, I'd be like perfectly healthy.
Yeah.
So
Or it's like certain aspects of your body or like certain parts of it where it's just like, oh, like I have extra fat here, or like love handles or cellulite.
So, like,
you
what
nitpick.
are the steps to take to remedy that, to where you have a more positive internal dialogue with yourself?
It's starting small, because it is hard. It's like something we do all day and we don't realize it. I always tell people, like, say 5 nice things. So at the end of the day, keep like a notepad by your bed, or keep notes in your phone, but it's easier, it's better to write.
Yeah.
Like the way that we soak things up, it's better for us to actually put pen to paper. Write down the 5 most common like shitty things you say.
To yourself.
So notice. Be like, I'm lazy, I'm stupid, I'm fat, or whatever. And then talk back to it with a positive voice. And if you can't do it from your own voice, imagine it's like your best friend or your girlfriend or boyfriend or whoever, and do it that way.
What about actually like showing that list to someone, like your boyfriend or your girlfriend?
You could, if it helps. I find it's because it's all about us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like doing it for yourself.
Yeah.
And, and let yourself read it and like soak it up and keep doing it.
Yeah, I'm all for the whole like self-affirmation thing. Like it sounds cheesy, but
Totally, but-
looking in the mirror and being like, your hair looks great today.
Yeah.
Or like, you got nice eyes, or whatever it is, to tell yourself something positive about how you feel.
Yeah.
And it's like, some people are just like, I can't do that. Like I can't say that to myself. That's so lame.
But start and try.
Yeah, one of my favorite YouTube videos. I think it's a little girl named Jessica, and it's like an older video on YouTube. But she's standing in front of the mirror, and she's like standing on the sink. She's like, "I look great. I love my mom. I love my dad."
Does she love that
curly?
one?
Yeah, super curly hair, and it was
she
like,
was
"All right,
awesome.
I want to be her. Like, I want to have like a daily affirmation every day, and just be like, you all right, girl. It's cool."
Yeah, that is so cute. There's also one of my favorites on Soul Pancake. It's called Beautiful Body, and it's this like spoken word poem. They ran into this woman, I think in DC or something, and she talks about like, these arms, hug loved ones of mine. I have a beautiful body, and like she goes through it all, and I was like, oh, I'm like crying.
All right, well,
YouTube videos.
I haven't cried yet today,
Oh, it's
so go watch that one later.
I'm gonna say,
Get it loaded up. Here we
get
go.
our watch list.
But it was good, and it's part of like what you should practice, like talking nice to yourself. I have a beautiful body. It does this, and if you can't talk to it like I have wonderful eyes or something, you can say like, my eyes, I am able to see. Not everybody has that luxury.
Yeah.
They work. My feet get me around. They keep me balanced. I have all my fingers.
I'm
and they
healthy.
work. Totally. Yeah.
I don't have a major illness that's keeping me
alive.
staying in a bed.
Yeah.
Like anything like
You
that.
can get totally down to the nitty gritty of it if you have to.
Yeah. I also think one of the things, it's like, recognize the progress you've made too. Like this guy Dalton says he's been working out and that he feels like he still looks fat, but it's also maybe like, oh, like my arm looks good today,
Yeah.
or like I actually have like muscle definition going on, or like
Or how
whatever
strong
it is.
my arm is. Look what all it can do.
Yeah.
And I used to not do this, and now it's able to do it.
So it's like recognize your small victories as well.
Totally.
It's
So
really
probably tracking the details of that, like weight and stuff like that, probably not a great idea then. My weight scale died like months ago, and I was just feeling like, I think I'm okay with that.
Yeah, no, that's good. And like tracking, I'm anti-calorie apps
Yeah.
just because I'm like, eat when you're hungry and stop when you're full.
yeah.
Ta-da!
Yeah.
That's the secret. That's your diet book, just one page. Eat when you're hungry, stop when you're full.
Oh, all right.
Ta-da.
Well, awesome. Well, that's all we have for today, but I also wanted to end the show with maybe you letting us know some resources people could use in order to find help or ask questions or things they should read or anything like that.
Yeah, there's a ton of resources out there, and if you are in a rural area, sometimes self-help books and workbooks can be great. Like the Intuitive Eating Workbook is great for the eating disorder world. There's also, a bunch. I can send links if you want to put them in the description or things like that. But you can look into workbooks and just read the reviews on Amazon. That's what I do. That's how you know if they're helpful to people. But as far as online, 7 Cups of Tea is like peer support. So if you're having a really hard time, you can reach out. You can talk to someone, 24/7.
7 Cups of Tea? Never heard of that before.
Yeah, and it's not professionals, but often we just need connection. That's what we're seeking. So that's a great resource for that. If you are like suicidal and you're going to harm yourself, please call 911. Please take yourself to emergency room. There are suicide hotlines around the world. And also like my website is katiemorton.com. We have chat on there that is the same as like peer support, and it's moderated, so it's a safe space. And that's just a way to get more help and support. And if you're looking for a therapist, there is therapistfinder.com, and Good Therapy also has great resources to find someone.
Awesome.
Cool.
Yeah, that's great. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah,
for being
thanks for
This has been
having
like one of
me.
my favorite
And
episodes.
thank you guys for joining me as well.
thanks for
and
having
talking
us,
very
Barb.
openly about this.
Yeah.
And thank you guys so much for watching this episode. If you ever have any questions for us, we're hoping to do another episode like this at some point in the future because I know there's a lot to get to. So feel free to email us at alwaysopen@roosterteeth.com.
Yep.
And we'll see you guys next week. Thank you so much. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Oh, you do that.
I do.